Hello again. It's time for another fireside chat. This is Mustard Hub Voices Behind the Build, where I sit down with people building, backing, and running better workplaces. I'm your host, Curtis Forbes. Today's guest is Nat Salvione. Nat is the Chief Commercial Officer at GiftBit, a digital rewards and incentives platform that helps organizations connect more meaningfully with customers, employees, and partners. With over 20 years' experience in the industry, Nat leads GiftBit's expansion, partnerships, and go-to-market strategy. He brings deep passion for the gift card and reward space, helping businesses unlock innovative ways to engage and build lasting relationships. Welcome to Behind the Build, Nat. Appreciate you joining me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
I've been really looking forward to the conversation because GiftBit has been a fantastic partner to Mustard Hub since we were just getting started. Also, you're about a lot of the things we hold dear here at Mustard Hub: rewards, recognition, incentives, engagement, relationships, connection, etc. Not only that, but you've been about these things for a large part of your career. So let's take a look back. How did you end up working in the space that you're in now? You've had a long career in gift cards, which is pretty unique.
Yeah, well, for sure, and it's a niche. It's a niche specialty, and yeah, it's not that great at parties to just say you're in the gift card space for 20 years. But no, I love it. I personally love it. Uh, yeah, I started actually in corporate America late. I got my first job when I was over 30 years old, and it was a kind of a tier 3 customer service job, which did fraud. We did fraud evaluation for online purchases. It was for a gift card company. Actually, they were called gift certificates back then, and we were we were going to be one of the .com booms in the early 2000s, and we were growing fast and had a lot of online purchases. But people were often trying to steal the gift cards with stolen credit cards, so we were reviewing transactions. And there, I just started to understand how, first of all, how desirable gift cards were. Everyone wanted them, and then, uh, although the business was retail focused, the most exciting part of the business of giftcertificates.com was the fact that businesses started to use them for rewarding their employees, and I just that was very exciting, and I just kind of followed um, that thread all the way till today.
That's pretty cool. When did you see that really start taking flight with employees, but just specifically in the workplace in general, I'd say?
Yeah, it was really from my early days at
Okay.
giftservice.com. The most exciting part of the business was us trying to compete as an online.com space, but the most profitable and the most successful part of our business were the companies that were using gift cards. And uh, gift cards, if you look at the National Retail Federation, they do a study of what people want for the holidays. I
Hmm.
don't know what year we're on right now, but it's like 18, 19 years in a row, gift cards are the most desirable requested gift for someone on the holidays. And everyone wants them. And when businesses were giving them out, they just worked for the employees. Uh, a lot of companies, common sense would be, hey, let's give our employees cash because everyone likes cash, which is true, but it's not memorable. There was a
No.
study done. This was probably maybe my landmark moment. Was there was a study done in the, I think, 2012 2013, where they asked employees what they would like to get, and everyone would said they wanted cash. But after they received their reward at work, they asked what they remembered getting, and everyone remembered getting gift cards. In fact, 2 out of 3 people that received a reward at work forever, for as long as they ran the study, remembered getting a gift card. Number one, they remembered getting the gift card. Number two, they remembered specifically what they did to get the gift card. And number three, they remembered what they spent that gift card on. And if you ask someone that got cash, they might remember they got a vague deposit, direct deposit in their account, but they'd never be able to tie it to what they
Right.
did or what they spent it on. And so what the word I used there was impact. Gift cards had a real impact on the employee when they received it as a reward.
It really does. You can't, if you get a deposit, you can't necessarily tie back to when you used those real dollars on whatever type of meaningful purchase maybe that you may have made. You can, however, when you hand over the gift card or you use a digital gift card, tie back in your mind, right? Immediately the action that you took to get that, or who it was that gave it to you, or what the occasion was that you received it, right? And you're
That's
tying that back at the time that you're using it, which is, like you said, pretty incredibly impactful.
Yeah,
Um,
I tell you one quick story.
yeah.
Uh, Early days at giftshivers.com, I wasn't in the sales department, but I made a sale just from the interacting with a company, and my manager at that time gave me an REI gift card, and we're talking 20 years ago now. And I was a new dad, and I used that REI gift card to get a bike and a trailer for my son to ride in.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so 20 years later, this is hugely impactful, to receive that gift card
Yeah,
for
and
that.
you still remember it. That's
Still,
incredible. So what brought you to GiftBit, and how long have you been there?
I'm approaching 3 years now, and the gift card and incentive space, at least in the United States and actually globally, it's a relatively small community of people that have been doing it for a long time. And so I ran into Leaf, our CEO at GiftBit, early days, and the company was called Kind back then, and we just kind of hit it off, and we have stayed in contact throughout the years. And during the pandemic, I was working for a company in London at the time, and that was proving just logistically challenging because my I would have to wake up at 5 in the morning for the first meeting. It's already 2 p.m. in London, so it just for me it was like uh, the days of hustling were a little bit past me. That was a little bit rough,
I
and
can
so
appreciate that.
Leaf and I we started talking, and he was ready to push the gas pedal on GiftBit and start to expand the go to market motion. So I joined in. Let's see, that would have been 2023, January, and so
Okay.
that's
That's
how
awesome.
that's how it started. Yeah.
So, just to ask for everybody who might be watching or listening to this, tell us a little bit about what is GiftBit. Can you give the audience a little more context on what GiftBit is and what GiftBit does?
Yeah, well, I think GiftBit, who we are, we're a small company, still sort of in the startup mold. Although the company has been in existence for 10 plus years. Yeah, based in Victoria, Canada. Maybe we might say Calgary, Canada now. But we have employees both in the U.S. and Canada, and what we really, in essence, we try to do is simplify the operationally complex task of sending gift cards around the world. And there are other companies that do this, but I think what we bring is a straightforwardness. I think this is really our differentiation. Is um, Sending a gift card is a high volume, low margin activity because it's effectively like a financial transaction. So a lot of companies in our space, unfortunately, optimize friction in the action so that they can earn some money on unclaimed or unused gift cards. And we have from day one have thought this isn't a good model because we really want the rewards to work, and for them to work, people need to receive them and they need to enjoy spending them. And so we've brought a straightforwardness. I'd like to say transparency, but that word just feels overused to me these days. So we like to use straightforwardness where we can share at every level of the interaction what's happened and give our customers clear view into how their rewards program is doing. And then second is we've really designed what's a complicated financial technical interaction for humans to understand and use. So we've leaned into simplicity there.
I love that. Also, one of the reasons that we love GiftBit, so Mustard Hub does work with GiftBit, but to speak more generally, maybe you can tell us the kinds of companies that come to GiftBit. What does that look like? What do they often look like, and why do they come to GiftBit? What are the reasons that you find folks will come to GiftBit over some of those others, like you talked about?
Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons I've loved this space for so long. Is every company in every vertical and of any size really has a need for rewards at their company. So, like many B2B companies, like we would consider ourselves B2B company, they optimize for maybe a vertical or a company size. But for us, vertical and company size are irrelevant. It's really about the use case. How are people using rewards? So if there's an incentive based program or a need for rewards for your customers, really you're a great candidate to use the GiftBit platform. And uh, we have two primary users. One is more project based, where maybe the company doesn't have the resources to integrate to the API for an ongoing rewards program, and they just need to send out a batch of rewards. We've really developed a platform so people could do that. And then second, probably our favorite type of customers are like the Mustard Hub companies that have a need to integrate gift cards into basically their platform. And so gift cards, I assume, as I'm talking to you, I'm assuming gift cards enhance the Mustard Hub platform and make your platform better, which is what we really love to do. We like to be behind the scenes and watch our customers succeed in using rewards.
Yeah, well, you kind of nailed it there. Definitely working behind the scenes to, I think, help make Mustard Hub better, right? Without GiftBit, I think that we'd certainly be lacking some pretty powerful elements of what we do. Um, so, how do you, in your role as chief commercial officer, how do you work with these organizations? Right? What is your role with them, or do you have one?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that has evolved. Right now, I view myself as having two roles. One, interacting with the customers for me is really a joy. I hope this doesn't sound corny at all, but I do really enjoy hearing about how our customers use rewards, and there's always a sense of amazement and wonder for a rewards program that really works. And so I enjoy interacting with customers, really just to expand sort of my worldview of rewards. After having done it for so long, there's still time after time where a company, you know, maybe their entire employee base has gotten healthier because they've used rewards to encourage healthy actions, and to me that's amazing to hear. And second, really, as um, uh, right now, I also the second thing that really brings me joy at work is watching my team succeed. So I have seen a lot in the gift card world, and I don't enjoy really directly helping anymore. Much rather work through my team. So the sales and the account management and our partnerships role. Um, I really like to you know embolden them to take risks and to be the leaders that I hope that they all can grow into be.
Also the sign of a very good leader. Um, but very cool. So, obviously, one of the big reasons that we're talking today is because of our lasting partnership with GiftBit, and you guys have been a fantastic partner in helping our customers recognize their own employees, right? Um, so, on a scale of 1 to 10, or maybe you can give me some feedback on. Do you think most companies are doing recognition right? for their workforce? How do you feel about that?
Um, I I would say no. I might even give it a one. If you're talking about like in industry wide or incorporating all companies of all sizes, um, yeah, I would lean way more towards 1 than 10 on that scale.
Nat, we like strong opinions here. Tell me why. What is it that you see where leaders are really lacking? Leaders or their companies, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this is probably a the heart of the issue, which is in order to effectively recognize someone, you really have to understand the individual. And a lot of companies approach recognition like a project, like they would rolling out their uh, health benefits plan, and that would just misses the mark. Uh, I remember early days at one of the companies I worked for is a large company, is a public company. Uh, the HR department had decided we weren't recognizing the employees well enough and engaging them. So they formed a committee, and the committee met a few times. I was on the committee, and I was so frustrated because everyone was talking about generalizations and budget and sustain all these things about a program, but there was no talk about like the people that were working there. So I think the program ended up being like you could send someone a kudos and you counted the kudos, and when they got enough kudos they could bring the kudos to the HR desk, and the HR desk would hand them a gift card, and no one used it. It was too complicated. First of all, no one likes walking over to the HR, at least at that company. I don't know about all companies, but
Definitely a friction point for sure.
yeah, and so it seemed like it met the needs of being in their budget and fair and all the things that people try to box in, which I get it. I understand that concept, but there wasn't the thought that one person might like to be quietly thanked, and another person might like to be publicly recognized, and another person might like a gift card, and for sure, people like to pick their own rewards. And so, yeah, I think that was that experience, and then the second thing is the to understand a person intrinsically and what might motivate them, you really have to take the focus off yourself and what's good for you, and think about that person, and that's really hard for an organization to do. So in order for that to be effective, you might need to actually trust the people that know that person well, like their team lead or their supervisor or their manager, and empower them to recognize them in a way that would make sense. But that would decentralize the rewards program and the recognition program, which is very hard for leaders to do. Is they really like to control and know that everything's sort of buttoned up, and so it might get messy, but messiness sometimes is very inspiring for people.
I almost hear that there's organizations that so carefully plan out this like recognition strategy to develop a culture that winds up being performative at best simply because it lacks really the authenticity, um, which would come from just understanding the human and doing it because you want to be human and you want to humanize, right? And it has sort of less about the corporate optics and more about um, let's just do this because we like each other and we want
Exactly,
everybody to feel better.
exactly right. Yes.
Um, so I'm curious then, like, if you wanted to look at it maybe a little differently, what would it look like when an organization is really nailing it? How do you describe? you've probably worked with some of these before, or you've seen it. You've had some customers like that. What do they look like? What do they do when they're really doing it right? How would you describe that?
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to mention also, so I'll answer that, but uh, I wanted to mention another thing that I had seen, and I think it will play into this, and that is that especially entrepreneurs, and I'm not speaking about, I'm speaking generally from my experience, uh, and companies themselves, they really celebrate their new hires, and if you look on LinkedIn, just browse through your LinkedIn feed, you're gonna see the people in your network with a photo of their new hire pack, their water bottle they got, their shirt, their laptop, and how
Mhm.
excited they are to join this company. But look through the feed and find out how many people are celebrating another year or just an average moment at their company. Um, yeah, companies, they don't celebrate their existing
Oh my
employees, and
god, I love that.
I
I
remember.
love that you're bringing this up because, like, now that you pointed out, I was just on LinkedIn this morning and, like, you're 100% right.
Yeah, it's almost like the, rom-com movies, that end when the couple gets together, and there's no real celebration of what an actual marriage would be like, and it's kinda like how we are in this space, and I had a I worked for a CEO at a past company that absolutely celebrated and would send out these glowing emails when a new person joined, like, their whole background, but, uh, I don't wanna say disregard, but it's just like, um, maybe overlook the contribution of the employees that have just been laboring, and the other thing I noticed that causes probably a lot of toxicity in workplaces is there are your core group of people that have been there a long time that hold all the historical context, know why things are the way they are, and every new employee that joins just has to feed on that knowledge like a
Mhm.
like a piranha, and eventually over time you're really dismotivating the core important group for the organization. So when I see an important and a successful recognition program, it's less emphasizing the new people, and it's way more recognizing the actual contributors, the quiet people that week after week are delivering value for the company. And the second thing is that the go-to-market team, because they interact with customers, often have uh, a lot more visibility within an organization.
Mhm.
So I also really like to see companies that highlight just the people that are contributing in their quiet ways. And then I think the third thing that I've seen is, uh, and this has been studied, so this is not new, but oftentimes a growth path for a person in a company, eventually they have to become a manager, or there's no more path for them, um, and then the resources and training and investment into becoming a good manager isn't there. You just have to sort of wing it, and managing is hard. It's difficult, and learning how to think less about your success and about other people's success. You need a whole change in perspective, and it's not easy to have a change in perspective. That's one of life's hardest lessons. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, sitting down and considering all of these things for your organization really would, as the foundation, and then thinking about recognition after that is really important.
So when it comes to building a rewards and recognition program, so let's imagine for a moment in fantasy land, and hopefully not so fantasy land. But let's imagine for a moment that we want, this authenticity, that we don't want something that's simply performative for corporate optics. We're building a rewards and recognition program. What should leaders keep in mind to do it the right way? I mean, do you have any suggested steps for them just to even get started?
Yeah. So rewards and recognition, they go together. And uh, first of all, the the realization that there's a lot of ways to recognize people, and what might motivate some person may not motivate another. But knowing if um, your employee would love to be shouted out on Slack, um, or uh, would love to, have a day off, or would love to be enrolled in a continuing training, or be sent to a on a trade show to represent the company. Like, all of those might motivate people in different ways. So, yeah, the first thing to kick off the program is to um, push the recognition all the way down to the lowest level, and let go of the control. That would be the first thing. Is we don't want a corporate recognition strategy. We
Hmm.
want to put the recognition in the hands of the managers. And then second, and this is the cool thing about gift cards, is everyone loves gift cards. Everyone. Um, and uh, a lot of leaders, they like to be innovative, and like, well, everyone gives gift cards, so let's do something different, and let's give parking spaces, or let's give water bottles. But every time someone tries to do something different, it fails, because you're imposing what you want onto the employee. The beauty about gift cards is the person who receives the reward can choose what to spend on.
Yeah.
And many people, amazingly, with gift cards, many people don't use it for themselves. A lot of times they give it away. And
Yeah.
especially someone who's been working a lot for their company, and maybe wish they could do more at home, and they receive this gift card, and it's a good way to actually treat your family members. And you can say, I received this for doing something at work. And even that kind of wholesome interaction, because of what happened at work, is way
So,
more meaningful.
and just for my maybe the audience who's listening, um, GiftBit has an integration with hundreds or thousands of gift cards. So you're really putting the power of choice in the recipient's hands, because the recipient now has an opportunity to, um, I guess, redeem, right, a gift card at, I mean, you name it, everything from Amazon to Starbucks to Home Depot and Guitar Center and Wine of the Month Club, or literally everything and anything in between. So, um, the nice thing is it's not just handing over a gift card to a big box retailer, but rather the opportunity for the receiver then to redeem at any number of places that might be meaningful, important, or impactful to them. Like you said, if they want to, use it for their family in some way, right? There might be, you know, dozens and dozens or more of things, specific to that,
Yeah,
that interest of
restaurants,
theirs.
movie theaters, airline experiences.
There you
Yeah.
go. Exactly. Experiences, travel, right? So it's pretty incredible. So all of a sudden, a manager might not need to stand in line at CVS, Walgreens, grocery store, or whatever to purchase all of these gift cards that they're hoping that they're hoping their employee is going to like and want and use, right? So
Yeah.
you're also, not just are you putting so much power in those managers' hands now to be able to put this program, we'll call it in air quotes program, together to do it in a meaningful way, because they know what their employees are like. But you're also saving them time, and you're able to allow them to make an impactful gesture now, even more efficiently. Even though I kind of hate to use that word in this context, because we're talking about being human and authentic, and like efficiency doesn't necessarily need to be in there, but it is.
Well, I mean, that's an important point, because the um, many companies to this day buy gift cards and keep them to hand out. And if you do that, um, you have to kind of pre-select what you think people will want. And oftentimes they're like, well, Amazon has everything. So that's a safe gift card to give, and they're not wrong, but not everyone loves Amazon, and Amazon doesn't can't deliver experiences. I visited a company a few years ago. They were talking about their rewards program, and they had put some thought into it. They had bought four gift cards, four packs of gift cards for stores that were around the office, so that someone, when they did something, uh, worthwhile, would receive one of those gift cards. And they wanted to let the employee choose, so they made it kind of a ceremony, and they had it laminated in like in I would call it I'm Gen X, I would call it a trapper keeper, but it was something where they opened up and all the four were there, and they would call them in and say, "Here, pick which one of these." Well, one of their employees who was a high value employee, but hard to figure out what they would want, earned one of those gift cards, walked in, looked at the four, and then said, "You don't know me at all," and didn't pick any and left. So what was supposed to be an amazing experience turned into kind of a flop, and then everyone felt bad about it. Um, and it would have been so much better if they had said, "Hey, you choose what gift card you want, and we'll buy it." Now that's not operationally efficient, but that's where the GiftBit comes in. Is we can handle all of that and send each employee a link to choose their gift card, and they feel honored because you're putting the responsibility to choose on them, but it's also very easy to do.
I love that. It's like it is operationally efficient gratitude. It's operationally efficient love. There you go. You can send
Sarah,
that to your marketing department.
go ahead.
That one's free, but that
Zoe, are
is
you listening? Zoe, okay.
but it's really it's in a sense that's really what GiftBit is able to almost help with us with Mustard Hub, and what it's able to deliver to its customers, partners, et cetera, is that operationally efficient, you know, love, and gratitude, which, goes a pretty long way.
I'll say one more thing too. Yeah, and by the way, thank you. Operationally efficient gratitude is. Well, I'm taking a mental.
I think
Um,
we're both going to steal that.
the other thing that I think uh, we have a concept that the reward needs to be a certain value, and in order for that to fit in your budget, the accomplishment needs to be pretty large. So it's not uncommon for a company to have employee of the quarter or employee of the month. But anyone that's been part of those programs knows that it's not really employee of the quarter. It's someone who did something good in the last week of the quarter, because that's what everyone remembers. And so, uh, what we advocate is, and what I love to see, are more frequent, smaller rewards, because everyone knows that building a habit is not an overnight thing. It's a lot of behavioral changes, little by little by little. But it's also not operationally efficient to give someone to go to the store and get a $5 gift card every time someone does something small. So that's another example of why an API driven digital reward payout on triggers, which is what we can build with GiftBit. We can actually help change habits with behavioral, small, frequent reward
Yeah.
payouts.
That's really strong. I mean, it's such a strong value proposition, trying to, and I was just having a conversation even this morning about that recency bias, right? That you find in so many managerial assessments, or when you have these sort of collective recognition circles, where you get together once a week, once a month, once a quarter, and everybody's just trying to jog their brain over the last 24 hours, 48 hours on who they want to recognize, rather than, where is this cumulative value lie with all the individuals, right, in the organization. And being able to do something like you're talking about helps sort of even avoid that recency bias, and make sure that those folks who, have really been at it, quietly delivering value every single day, have an opportunity to, be rewarded in some way for that.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm kind of curious. So I've had a lot of recent conversations about like a multi generational workforce. Um, do you? You're Gen X. You mentioned that. Me too. Do you? Do you think that engagement and recognition look differently across generations? The consensus is that things that fuel Gen Z, and make them feel appreciated and taken care of are really different than what baby boomers are looking for, or maybe, Gen X. Thoughts on how to find common ground?
Yeah, it's that's an interesting question because it does go back to I think dividing groups into generations is helpful in like a macro view, but again, I think it really comes down to the individual. Although the entire incentive industry in the U.S. as we know it, it started right around the Great Depression because there was a man, Mr. Maritz, I forget his first name. He sold watches, and when the Great Depression hit, he had a bunch of watches that he couldn't move because no one could afford them. So he started selling them to businesses to hand out for when they retired or after they've been there for 10 years. And that I don't know if people still remember, but getting a watch at work was a big deal for the boomers. And there was a big it was more common to work for a company for 20, 30, 40 years and earn your watch. And today, obviously, generationally, the whole system of working and employing is changed. But one thing hasn't changed, and that is people stay and thrive where they feel valued. And I think honestly, a digital gift card today uh, can span any generation. Or maybe 10 years ago at our company, we would have these meetings where does the older generation know how to use a digital gift card, and maybe they still need a
Yeah.
plastic gift card because they're used to taking things out of the. But that we're underselling just how pervasive technology is today, and also how much everyone loves a gift card. I mean, back to my original stat. Even though we like to pick out Christmas gifts for people because it's fun to pick out a gift, oftentimes we don't quite hit the mark when we buy, especially for someone that we don't know very well. But anytime you get a gift card for someone and they redeem that card, they will remember who they got
Yeah.
it for across all generations. And so
And
it's the perfect reward.
and we could, I guess technically we could redeem a gift card for Breitling or Tag Heuer or Rolex if we really want if we really wanted to at the
100%.
end of the day.
100%.
Um, but you brought up something interesting about, the changes, right, in the world of work. And what I I know there's some statistics, right, that in the next 5 years or so we're probably going to see upwards of 60% or even more of our workforce actively engaged in the gig economy, right? Not necessarily full time, but at least in some capacity. Any thoughts on how to appreciate and engage not just, folks who might be casual employees, contractors, part-timers? What about remote employees in a distributed, team? Like how do you recognize and support folks across all these different styles of work and different worker classifications?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I don't claim to be able to speak to those macro trends. However, I have seen that if someone is delivering value to your company, no matter what their classification is, um, it's worthwhile to reward them. And it is very demotivating um, to have an all hands meeting for a company, invite your 1099 contractors or your part time employees or the work from home folks, and then roll things out that only benefit the FTEs. If there's a quick way to just show you don't care and to talk in even classify, even to talk in groups when you're when you're addressing the entire organization. Again, this is more of a human centered thing, but you're talking about people, and you're talking about someone with feelings, and someone when activated, um, when nourished or cherished, can thrive and add value to your organization. You obviously view them as having value because you have this financial arrangement with them.
Right.
Um, why not? Why not lean into that and get the most value as possible? And if for your own company structure, it's important that they stay contract. Well, that's more of a legal or
Yeah.
organizational structure thing. Uh, it shouldn't really interfere with the way you value them as people that are using their time and energy to add value to your organization and to deliver value to your leadership and your
I mean,
board.
that right there, I think is such a strong point. I'm a huge fan of this answer too, because whether they're full time employees or they're contractors, they're still getting paid to, you know, build your dream, right? Well, if you're the business owner, right, or build somebody else's dream, right? There's a financial arrangement, like the way you put it, right, for them to, you know, to promote some behavior from them, right? That's going to add value in some way, right? They're going to be doing some work for you, and the work will hopefully make your organization, better, more profitable, whatever it happens to be. And they're all human, right? So, what difference does it make, what the letters are next to their name or what type of taxes they wind up having to file at the end of the year? If they're part of the team in some capacity, excluding them is certainly, in my opinion and estimation, and I feel like you're sort of on the same page there. Um, Pretty toxic, pretty toxic way to go about treating everybody in your organization. So I very much appreciate that. I want to keep looking ahead. Any predictions on what the future of work is gonna look like? I mean, what do you think leaders need to be preparing for in the next 5, 10 years?
Well, what I would like to see, I realize there's a lot of talk about AI, and a lot of fear. And honestly, people don't do their best work when they're afraid. That's a given. Uh, and also companies they need investors, and investors need to feel like they're showing value by making suggestions for how companies do. But honestly, investors don't know the business. And the last thing I would say about uh, entrepreneurs, and again, this is a generalization, something I've seen is what makes someone a good entrepreneur. Maybe a little sprinkle of narcissism, a little dash of paranoia, um, a little a big dose of like get it done. It doesn't make good leaders for organizations. Uh, and what I hope to see, this isn't what I maybe this is more what I hope to see, is people being doing work on themselves and realizing where they're short, especially in their concern for their employees as people. And I think an organization that has a good blend of use of technology, but is a people first and really cares about their people, I think they're gonna win in the long run. When we have AI, we all have access to the same information at this point, um, and it's what you do with that information
Yeah.
and how you trust the people to use it. And in order to trust someone around you, you have to be okay with them, making mistakes and learning on the go and being vulnerable and authentic. And those are things that um, every company would benefit from having at the top.
Yeah. We do all have infinite knowledge, I guess, or at least access to it. One last thing as we wrap up here, always love to sort of ask, to get different perspectives on this, but business leader came to you for advice on how to really get it right, building their team, building alignment across the organization from day one, right? You're in an elevator almost to the top before you see them walk right out the door. What's the one thing that you tell them?
Yeah, so if I'm an elevator ride, I would ask them two questions. I would say, how are you motivated? And those who work directly for you, can you tell me what you think, how they're motivated, and what you would do to make the person you work closest with, what could you do right now to give them a good day and to maybe add a little bit of dance in their step on their way. And if you think about that, then think about that rolling all the way through your organization. You don't think about it as a blob, but just think about yourself and the person closest to you. And I think you're on the way to building a good program.
Well, that can definitely spread some cheer throughout the organization. It's got to start in one spot, right, and then permeate outward. So I love that. That's great advice. I appreciate you so much for joining me and speaking with me today, Nat. It's been awesome having you here.
Yeah. This has been a real joy. Thank you.
And for all you who are watching or listening to the episode, thank you all for joining me again for Mustard Hub Voices Behind the Build. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. Be sure to check us out at mustardhub.com to see how we help companies become destinations for workplace happiness and turn culture into a competitive edge. And sign up to get started with Mustard Hub for free while you're there. Until next time, thank you.